Well, hello, that's me again. It is July 5th, 2022. It's Tuesday, and there are some things which we need to discuss today, and this is also very important, but considering the general situation in the world, it's always important nowadays. And let me start with some kind of general things, so to speak, which are related to the SMO, Special Military Operation of Russia in Ukraine, and overall political state, and the state of the armed forces of the West, namely NATO. And again, when I say state, it doesn't mean that I'm going to give you literally regiment by regiment, brigade by brigade information and, produce some kind of the forecasts and conclusions. This is not what I do. In fact, it's a tedious job and absolutely not necessary to do because we have plenty of indicators, so to speak, by which we can judge the whole state of the military political machine, so to speak, in the West and especially in the Washington. And I want to start with simply, simple thing. You all remember, and those people who watch me, they usually do, because they are generally intelligent people for the most part, and really have some background, in history and things of this nature. So you all remember this German thing, which was called during the World War II, called Wunderwaffe. Wunderwaffe is nothing more than wonder weapon. It's what, for example, Hitler was calling about the vengeance weapons like V1s and V2s and other weapons which were supposed to save Nazi Germany from utter crash and defeat by primarily Red Army, but also with the help of the Western allies after 1944. And it is always... it always exists, this type of the thinking, and especially the lower you go, so to speak, on the food chain of people, starting from the top, military education and military background people, down to the layman level, so to speak. The more you begin to understand that the Wunderwaffe or wonder weapon ideas completely dominate that. And it's normal, make no mistake. I by no means say that it is, wrong or something. It's just the way it is. Nothing could be changed about it. It's the same if you ask me, what do I think about the dentistry or surgery? I have no freaking clue. I'm sorry. I certainly read about it. I was the part, so to speak, privy to it. My teeth have been, tortured for a while, let's say half of my life, or, I had surgeries and things of this nature. So, but it doesn't mean that I know it. I heard about, I saw it, I experienced even, but of course I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a dentist. You will not allow me to near your teeth, or God forbid, taking the, appendicitis from you, sir, because I'm going to kill you, not because I want to, but because I'm just going to screw up. And when we speak about the Wunderwaffe, it's pretty much the same thing which relates to, military affairs. And this is the what I call the Clancy-esque, so to speak, approach to the whole thing. It's the guy and who basically made the military porn a completely valid and completely legitimate, so to speak, part of the literature. And of course later he benefited greatly from it by creating all those bullshit games. And so the guy was, how to say, it's not very good at it, actually, if you think about it. And here's the thing which I wanted to show you in terms of where I go with it. Because look at this. This is the wonderful book, 2007, by Professor Roger Thompson, and it was published by the United States Naval Institute Press. It was called the lessons not learned, and it was about the status quo culture in the United States Navy and how it was not ready for the real war, basically. It's an astounding book, and it was, I already mentioned it on a number of occasions, but look what he writes. When he describes the situation with not only US Navy, it also relates directly to, for example, any kind of the combined arms operations or tactics, what have you. And here it is. And that's what he writes, that most what American public, or millions and millions of people, have gotten most of what they know about warfare and the US military from an ex-insurance agent who never served a day on active duty. And that's the issue that he also then so to speak, touches upon. The problem is that history, unlike Tom Clancy, hasn't sold 20 million copies. How unlike fiction is real war. Clancy has it in its head, and his readers are getting it drummed into theirs. That is, the US military is a precise instrument capable of almost effortless accuracy. This was in 2006 or 7, I don't remember. You can easily find this book. It's an outstanding book, and it's very precise. But of course, yeah, later Mr. General Latif, and you already heard this name, he wrote basically and confirmed this already in 2017, that basically writing his book about future war, and you can look it up in my previous videos, he stated very bluntly, and the guy is Major General, PhD in physics, 20 years in DARPA. He said that pretty much most what American public and its political top, so to speak, political elites know about warfare. They know it from the entertainment. They know it from the Hollywood, which, by the way, also, if you look how many movies Hollywood made based on Tom Clancy writing, you will see yourself that basically, yeah, it's all non-scientific fiction. And it is especially relevant today when we see the full crumbling of the, not just narrative, but we see the exposure of the utter military incompetence, not only political class in the West, which was, and you would expect, it's normal. You cannot teach political scientists or, you know, even lawyers, some smart lawyers or economists, how to run the armed forces and what is involved in running that, you know, let alone you cannot teach it people who have such degrees as in marketing or in PR, public relations or communications. So go try to explain to them what is the, you know, combat training, how it is planned, and it's very complex, and what is behind that, and then of course how you persecute or prosecute the combined arms operations, and as a part of, let's say, battalion, the part of regiment, or let alone brigade. So it's almost impossible. Then you get into the naval tactics and naval operations, and it's altogether just mind-boggling. And it's all mathematics. It's all these complex issues. And yesterday, I believe, wonderful Alexander and Alex of Duran people, you know, they spoke about this whole situation with the special military operation in Ukraine, and they also were wondering, and I suggest you to look up this video. It's yesterday, I believe. Today they have the wonderful video with Larry Johnson. But they were speaking and providing this kind of working hypothesis, which actually very close to truth, I think, because I also kind of approach it from this kind of more or less this angle, but they were very succinct yesterday when they were talking about that basically the reason the armed forces of Ukraine are being slaughtered, and the reason they are being and are doing things which are absolutely ridiculous, you know, and not to speak, some of them are absolutely criminal, is because the NATO, essentially the United Kingdom and the United States, they command the Ukrainian armed forces, and evidently they both neither are ready for really command and control of the complex combined arms operations, and that's where Alex and Alexander came in with the much more succinct definition that basically they cannot allow the territory to be taken because obviously it creates the a complete destruction of the political narrative inside the United States and United Kingdom, and it means the end of the Biden administration, because they cannot spin they can spin those losses of armed forces of Ukraine. They can spin the destruction of those armed forces which are effectively destructed, but they cannot spin the loss of their territory. But that's the whole thing, if the generals, and I begin to, as I already stated, begin to reevaluate my attitude towards the American military schools very seriously. And when you have people who, and obviously there are all kinds of generals, such as General Petraeus or General King, who obviously part of this whole narrative, and they are, huge neocons, and they obviously participated in the creating this plan, quote unquote. That means that those people don't understand what real war is. I mean, and it's absolutely true, because it doesn't matter. Once you kill the enemy, once you grind it to basically to dust, which this is what has happened now in Donbass, then yeah, you're inevitably going to lose territories. So no matter how you try to do it, and no matter how you try to tie this together with those stupid, if not to say criminal, much of it criminal, political objectives of the regime, in this particular case the Biden administration, which can only operate in the PR environment, that's a virtual environment, virtual successes, virtual economy, virtual finances, everything virtual, there's nothing real there. Is because, yeah, they're not that good. I mean, it's the same goes for Obama administration, and obviously it's Obama and Hillary Clinton and Susan Rice who are behind that. These are not educated people, I'm sorry. They're not very smart people. So, and people say, oh yeah, they have some degrees. No, so what? I mean, most of those degrees are, not worth the paper they are printed on, because if it is from some Ivy League school, in the soft degrees. They don't understand what modern war is, modern economy is, what modern technologies are, and that's where actually Alex and Alexander, they are pretty much spot on, and I totally confirm this position. So yeah, before producing some kind of the political objectives which serve your ideas, which you have to present to the public, which it means lying. Basically, they lie. That's the only thing they do. Especially before the midterms, which are coming in November, and having Biden's admin rating, I believe it's 30% now. So it's, yeah, sure. Why don't we invade the invasion of the aliens? But it still goes back to the thing which they cannot do in Washington, and now they cannot do it anywhere. So in Washington D.C., including a military aspect of this, because they don't understand what real war is, modern war. And so that brings us to the issue which I wanted to discuss. And again, math. Yeah, you have to have math, guys. You have to be able to calculate it. But Wunderwaffe is one of those things which, you can use, so to speak, without understanding how complex and combined, that's the reason it's called combined arms operations, are, that they're not just one weapon. They're plethora, they're a combination of weapons and actions which constitute this basically operations and strategic movements which lead to the achievement of the political objectives of any war, because the victory is defined by political objectives. And I can show you something about this Wunderwaffe today, because which really kind of touched me, so to speak, deeply to my soul. Because, as you can see yourself, they suddenly recognize this. Business Insider reports, Ukraine's drones are becoming increasingly ineffective as Russia ramps up its electronic warfare and air defenses. I have, and as you can see yourself, it was 2 days ago, and it's obviously the reason this article lies, and it's not, doesn't lie in essence, it lies in terms of the time frame, because they say increasingly ineffective as Russia ramps up. Let me put it this way. Drones are basically, for layman people, they are that Wunderwaffe. You have the armies of drones, and then you send in, and it bombs those goddamn Ruskies, to smithereens, and they lose the war. First, who said that they were that effective to start with? Of course, we have the situation with the Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict in Karabakh, where Turkey really pushed for their Bayraktars to be, kind of promoted. But truth is, I mean, drones, they're slow, they're easy prey for any air defense, as Syria demonstrated extremely well. And now you're talking about those Bayraktars and what have you, drones going against Russian air defense and electronic warfare. Russia wasn't ramping it. Russia was using it from the get-go. And basically within the next couple of weeks from the start of operation, everybody already knew that it's complete failure. You can use those drones against the Mujahideen Taliban people in Afghanistan. They don't have air defense complexes. The only thing they have, they're probably Deshaka, heavy, machine gun, which they will try to shoot. But yeah, good luck shooting at the drone, which is at 3 kilometers height, So it's like, guys, you have to understand, for Tor M1 even, let alone Tor M2 or Panzer, it's even for Strela, Manpad, these are easy targets. Come on, I mean, just face the reality. But for people who play a lot of games which are based on the same methods of the, technological masturbation, which are, in the foundation of Tom Clancy fake writing and, games and everything, they still think that, oh yeah, we'll send like 50 drones. Okay, good luck, And that's what happens. Russia was using the electronic warfare methods to ground them very effectively, and of course physical kinetic, so to speak, annihilation of them, shooting them easy targets for Panzer, Tor M1, I mean, just easy. So that's the thing. But now we go to this other Wunder thing, But now the West begins to kind of, throw those things around about Russians having this hypersonic weapons. And now you have to come up with the Wunderwaffe. Hypersonic weapons are not Wunderwaffe, but in the present conditions, they pretty much are in terms of what basically any standoff and smart munition, which are modern, can have. They can have a strategic impact without having actually nuclear warhead having on that. And so another new Wunderwaffe thing, another thing to mitigate something in the public relations sphere appears immediately, and it is from today, and it's just altogether just ridiculous. Now Politica today basically publishes the article, which is actually funny because it is true. US military newest weapons against China and Russia, hot air. Wow, and fact is, it is. And the question is not about those, aerostats or balloons or, dirigibles, if you wish, because obviously the only thing those things can do is you stick the radar or stick any kind of sensor underneath it and lift it to the height of something like 90,000 feet. Okay, good luck trying to track the hypersonic weapon, because even if you track them, even if you track those hypersonic weapons, and I already explained it on the number of occasions, what are you going to do? Well, it can give you, for example, maybe additional minute or two to prepare. And for people have to understand what I'm talking about. If you stick that thing somewhere near the coast of, let's say, Maryland or New York or Florida, for that matter, Mach 9, it's roughly 2 miles per second. So, I mean, just to give you an explanation to it, I will show you what it means in terms of the for deployment of the high supersonic or hypersonic weapons into the ocean by, let's say, Russia, and it goes towards both coasts of the United States. And I already showed you this, how to say, I had this presentation for you probably a couple of months ago, but I didn't go there, in full Monty, so to speak, trying to explain what is this all about. Just gave you some reference points. So we will talk about this in more detail today. But before I go, I have to again get you to this wonderful, wonderful book, which is called The Russian Way of War by Dr. Lester Grau. He is also Lieutenant Colonel of the United States Armed Forces, and Charles Bartels. It's actually a Foreign Military Studies Office at Fort Leavenworth, at, I believe, it's the General Staff College in Fort Leavenworth. It's called The Russian Way of War. I want to stress, however, you can easily find this book. It's a wonderful book in the internet, and it's free for download. But keep in mind, it was written in 2016. So a lot happened since then. A lot of things happened since 2016, and it's been now, yeah, as you can see, easy 6 years now. A lot of things happened. The Russian army changed dramatically too since then. But as a primer, it's a good start for kind of getting into the neck of the woods. And again, it's a wonderful book. I mean, it gives you all those necessary, primers, so to speak, about a Russian way of war. But let me read you something which is important from this book. And I want to stress it again. That's what they write about the operations and how operations are conducted by Russian military, and including from tactical to obviously operational to strategic level. And as you can see yourself, the theory of implementation, or basically of how Russians fight, is this. The Russian education system continues to emphasize mathematics and science. Consequently, quote unquote, math anxiety is not a problem, particularly among military professionals. Mathematical determination articles are a normal part of most Russian professional military journals. Russian officers use mathematical models to aid in their planning. Nomograms and calculations quickly resolve issues such as determining pass times and march durations, duration and density of artillery fire, to achieve necessary percentages of kills and equipment destruction in the area fire missions, the time and place where the forces will encounter the enemy main force, the optimal march routes, the time required to move from the assembly area and transition from battalion to platoon attack formation, the artillery expenditure, and go on and on and on and on and on, and you can read this yourself. And again, this is the thing which I was explaining in my education segment video, if you remember, I believe a few weeks ago, when I was talking about that there is no really modern war without math and physics. Well, a little bit of chemistry, which I hate. I cannot stand chemistry. So I'm not good at chemistry. I suck at it. Always sucked. So, but the point is, of course, the fact that even when you look at even Russian recruits, when they get into the armed forces, when they are drafted, they already have mathematics and physics background, which is much more advanced than, for example, for the graduates of the American most Western high schools. And people who are not complete dummies, and again, make no mistake, not all Russian recruits are smart. There are some stupid people too, so not that it's, geniuses there, no. But I mean, on the average, they get a lot of physics, for example, and a lot of fundamental algebra and even introduction into calculus that allows you to conduct, even on the level of enlisted person, the grunt, the calculations. And of course, the more you go higher and then you get to the officer level, then you have people who would do, again, it's standard. While for any technical, basically, sector of the military, like me, I am a full-blown engineer. I have the graduate degree in engineering. I have an undergraduate degree in military science. Most of Russian officers, they have that. Especially officers which are involved with such forces as air defense, air force, combat control information, and things of this nature. Yeah, that's what still is and correct in Russia, and that's why the mathematics is the part of it. And Bartels and Grau, they give the wonderful example, for example, of what even tactical level officer, let's say the company or battalion level people and their staffs deal with this. You see, for example, these are nomogram examples. That's the thing which is being used now in SMO, and this is not about just, you know, those Wunderwaffes. No, you just go about, you calculate your operations based on the sensibility, so to speak, of the weapons you have and the weapons you desire. In Russian case, everybody knows now, it's been around for 3 months now that, oh my God, Russians are huge in terms of artillery, and they use it, and including the rocket artillery. Yeah, artillery is god of war, and it's quote unquote. It's Russian saying, which is almost three centuries old. The god of war is artillery. That's how you break your enemy. And of course, here it is. It shows you the artillery nomogram formula, which even the basically the battery commander knows how to do it. He can calculate, you know, whatever you need, the coverage area, and how many guns, cannons, or type of the munition he will need. And if you go further with this, as you can see yourself, they give the example, for example, determine the area of destruction of 12 122mm howitzers against the enemy personnel in the open using a 15-minute artillery fire strike. This is shown by the red line. And you can read yourself example 2, which also shows that other different, you know, basically calculations which go for the what area, you know, and duration of the strike you need to cover open area target at 20 hectares. Here are nomograms. These are the tables which are absolutely normal for, again, even the platoon or battery type of officers in Russian armed forces. They know what is this about, and guess what? What they are taught in the military academies. They are given the full introduction into the theory of operational research, and that allows you to basically conduct that type of the mathematical view and physics, of course, view of the operation, any action, tactical action, or obviously operations with much ease, and you understand what you're doing because that's what you train for. And this is just the demonstration from the same Bartels and Grau book, which is really important to give you the perspective, so to speak, at what is being given already in military academies in the first year, second year, guys. By the time you graduate, it's just the way you you live. This is how you fight. This is how you view your basically the circumstances, combat circumstances and conditions, and that's how you make a decision. And that's how you write those decisions. That's how you form them on the maps, or nowadays they do it on the electronic pads. That's how you translate it into the higher staffs, which are, basically net-centrically connected to them, So, and that's what it is. Of course, today you have the very much mathematical automation, which ranging from simplest calculators to much more sophisticated software, which runs your combat models and combat programs, which allow you to come to decision. And here is the other thing which I want to show you and to stress. And it's about considering again the fact of these Wunderwaffes, which the West tries to kind of come up with, be that those balloons which should give you like actually a couple more minutes to be terrified by the weapon which is incoming and you cannot shoot it down, to obviously the issues of the which they face now, how ineffective those drones are. And this is kind of two-part video. I will continue to speak about it, but and continue to basically go into the neck of the wood of this. But you probably remember this thing. Let me show you. You already saw it. This is how the submarine, which has either Onyx P-800 supersonic anti-shipping missiles with a range of more than 800 kilometers, or Zircon hypersonic missiles with the range of, actually expand the radius almost twice, 1500 kilometers, how it looks at the carrier strike group of the United States Navy. This is what you see here. And the reason it is important, because we're going to be talking next video, which I'm going to be producing, hopefully after tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I have the very important interview. After tomorrow, and I will show you something which really matters in this particular case. And guess what? It is again mathematics, but again, I reduce this mathematics to a very simple forms. Anybody can understand this, and to show you how decisions are made and how and why Russian armed forces fight. And this is absolutely not secret. There are many people in the United States Armed Forces who completely understand this issue. They understand it on the mathematical level. So it is the political so to speak, top elite, if you wish, and military elite, those parquet generals, those political generals who made their careers by basically sucking up to whoever was in charge. And that is why you have the issues of Afghanistan. And now, as correctly stated by Alex and Alexander, and now Larry Johnson, and Afghanistan 2.0 is coming, my friend. Actually, it's not coming. We're already inside the Afghanistan 2.0, and it's going to be much larger. It's going to be more catastrophic, and it will expose, yet again, a complete military inadequacy of people of the neocon inclinations. Neocons are not good militarily. The fact is, they're not good in anything at all. They are very ignorant people. They only know the history and how to distort it to fit their nefarious purposes, basically. But there is another thing, and that's what I wanted to finish it off with, this Wunderwaffe thing, and that military, Western military, who subscribe to neocon ideology and this sheer idiocy, not to speak about military and war crime, which is happening now in Ukraine, and we are seeing the complete annihilation, utter into dust of the Ukrainian armed forces. They can do it out of two main reasons. Because they are vengeful, and because they share neocon, globalist, and triumphalistic view of the world, which is, of course, American-centric world. But, well, and Israel-centric world, let's put it this way. But here's the issue. Normal, real military professionals, by the virtue of them being professionals, cannot subscribe to any neocon idea. The reason being that knowing the war and being military professionals and knowing that Wunderwaffes do not run the course and what real operations are, they will never subscribe to the ideas of the global domination and this, well, I remove here the pro-Israeli part. They will never do it because they understand what is at stake and how it all works. Neocons do not know this. Jake Sullivan, Susan Rice's, all those, Anthony Blinken's, let alone Joe Biden, let alone whoever runs all those, they don't understand that. They have no clue. They only know how to do PR. They only know how to re-elect themselves and how to usurp power and how to use their influence for all their nefarious purposes. And that is why they bring the country, the United States of America, and the Western world to a destruction. This is utter incompetence. And any normal military professionals, such as Larry Johnson, of course, Colonel McGregor, they will tell them that if you want to survive somehow, you need to stop this, because otherwise you're already defeated. But now the PR defeat is coming, and it will be catastrophic. It will make Afghanistan 2.0 look like a stroll in the park. The reason being because the United States lost already its best proxy it ever had, and that best proxy was much more capable militarily armed forces of Ukraine, including this fanatical Nazi element, and of course Taliban or Iraqi army had nothing on the Ukrainian armed forces. Well, guess what? They're pretty much done, and Russians did it. So guess what? Wait for the news. we'll see how it will develop. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I will be talking about the operations with the search and detection and naval warfare and how it influences the strategic decisions, my next video. So this is everything I wanted to talk to you about today. So have a nice couple of days before I'll talk to you again. And those people who like what I do, they are more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.